Hey, hello there.
Hey, Vadim.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Doing well, thanks.
All right. So, tell me a bit about yourself. Like, what's your name? What do you do? What do you do when you're not learning crypto?
Well, my name's Russell. I I'm retired now, so I used to be in technology, not at this level of technology. I'm old kind of guy, so I wrote all the old programs that are running in the banks and the brokerage houses that no one could touch anymore because none of us are around. But
Cool.
so that's what I used to do. Um, these days, I mostly work around my house and keep things moving and stuff like that. And then I try to do a little learning, research, reviewing different websites, and uh, there's a couple of uh, newsletters I get that are financially involved, some in stock, some certainly in crypto. So I've been looking at it for a while. I can kick myself because when I first heard of uh, crypto and Bitcoin, it was like $7,000, and I'm like, I'm not spending $7,000 on imaginary money, and
Yeah.
of course I would have been a lot richer had I bought it at $7,000 than when I started buying it at $30,000. But
Yeah.
some of us wake up sooner than others. But
Yeah, that's fine. We
so
all we all get Bitcoin price that we deserve, right? I mean, that's kind of the saying.
you know,
So how did you first get into crypto? Like, what was that journey before you found next level DeFi?
it was bumpy. It was early, and like I said, I was familiar with concepts, but not necessarily any of this stuff. So I was able to follow along. A couple of the newsletters I had, they had a little training thing, and you could go through it and see how to do real basic stuff. So that's
Yeah.
how I learned to do, buying through the major exchanges like Coinbase and Gemini and stuff like that. And then um, a couple of things I saw and read, they were talking about earning on your crypto. And I'm like, oh, this
Mm,
sounds interesting. So I got into a few different earn programs on mostly I wasn't buying to do a lot of trading. I was buying to do buy and hold and wait for the big appreciation
right.
and hopefully have some nice extra stuff down the road that though I planned my retirement, things are getting much more expensive. So I was hoping I'd find something to keep me going good. And it's worked out. I'm certainly up. I'm not up the hundreds of thousands of percent, but I'm definitely up from where I bought in. And unfortunately, I got caught in some of the FTX mess and some of the other exchanges that locked up my coins that I was trying to earn on. And then that really made me sour on the whole thing. But
Right.
as I kept reading and seeing things, one day I saw something about your process, and I was like, I think I got to watch that and find out what it's about. And
Yeah. So
that's how
so
I'm
you were
here.
mostly in centralized finance, like earning, right? Like
Yeah.
Coinbase and Gemini earn program. So like what was going on like in your crypto life where you were like was like, oh, I got to figure out the DeFi side of things out, you know? What was the like specific moment that you decided to join my program?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was interested in DeFi before I saw your program, but
Mm,
you know, I stumbled around a lot in it because they didn't give me the kind of course detail that I got in your program. So I got little tids and bits, and then I had
yeah,
to go around, and of course, I got myself locked up into some problems and how to get out of it. So I paid the price learning, but I got to a point where at least I understood the concepts, and then as I saw or heard about your program, I wanted to see how it would work.
right.
And then as you started going through the detail, I'm like, this is what I've been looking for because it's a first you're walking us through all the pieces. So I didn't run into stone walls that I did when I was trying to do it on my own. And
Yeah,
then second, as I reached out for help, first between the chat list to try to find things that matched what I found or what I was having trouble with, or reached out to you guys directly. I was getting back responses. I'm like, okay, this is the kind of thing I needed because as much as I understand, it's all new. So to
yeah.
everybody. So
Fairly new, yeah. It's the future,
yep.
but it's new at the moment, you know,
Well, and that's the
especially
other part is I
on
was
Beam
like,
and all that.
if I can figure this out and stay with it till the future, then I'm going to be ahead of the big curve because, like you said, very few people understand
Yeah, very
this, let alone how to do it.
yeah. So before you joined Next Level DeFi, like what was your strategy with crypto? Were you just holding, trading? Um,
Mostly just
Holding?
holding.
Yeah.
One of the newsletters I got, they had a couple of things that they said, we're trying for quick hits. So they'd make some
Right.
recommendations. To be honest, I'd make a couple $100 here and lose a couple $100 there.
Yeah.
Um, I wasn't doing big investing in those because I just, you know, I wasn't ready to take the losses. So, they're always saying, oh, don't put in more than you can lose. I'm like, okay, I can put in a couple $100 and see how it works.
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting consistent winning results. So I was like, well, it was interesting, it was fun, but if I could find something that was clearer, more concrete that I could understand how to use, that was what I was looking for.
Okay. And you said you were trying some DeFi things before. Like, what was the most annoying or frustrating thing about, trying to do that before you found, my program?
Well, I guess the best one I was in was this earn program was I was earning 19% on my Ethereum and Bitcoin and USDC. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they said, oh, everything's locked. You'll have to wait.
Welcome to centralized finance.
Yeah. So there you go. Because I was in centralized and they had control. They turned the switch off and my coins were locked. So I was like, well,
Yeah.
that's not the right, that was close to the answer. I mean, for those months I was earning 19%. I was nice seeing it come in.
Oh yeah. When it works,
But
it's great.
but once I realized they could turn off the switch, I'm like, now I remember all that basic stuff I read about with crypto in the beginning, which is you
Yeah.
got to be outside this stuff or anybody could touch you or turn it off or stop you or take it.
Yeah. Is that the moment where you try to figure out like the decentralized finance side of things on your own?
Well, yeah, but I didn't see how I could figure it out on my own. So,
Oh, okay. So you didn't try. You didn't like try to use any resources or YouTube or anything like that to figure out like I did, kind of stumble around
yeah,
blindly.
no, I didn't. I didn't have. I don't have that much time, and I don't have that much
Okay.
knowledge. So, I needed some guidelines and direction to follow. So
Yeah.
that's really what I was looking for. I didn't
So
think, I liked the concept. I understood it. I agree with it. I just didn't think I could do it on my own by just poking around and hoping I found the right stuff.
yeah. So you did smarter thing than me. You actually went and just paid somebody to help you figure out expressway, right? Yeah. Which is what
I've
I should
learned
have
my
done.
limits. I've learned my limits in some of this stuff. So paid some price learning it, but not too bad. So now I was
Yeah.
like, okay, here's an opportunity to, I've kind
Yeah.
of accumulated some resources. How can I put them to work for me where I can stop worrying about it every minute? And,
Yeah.
as you know, check on it once in a while. And if I'm out of range, I can make some adjustments, put me back in range, and I'm back to earning and I can forget about it again. So
Yeah.
that's really my goal is to really be in that passive mode if, as much as possible.
So like when you joined the program, what were you hoping to accomplish? Was it like to boost your retirement income, or what was the main goal?
Um, Well, like I said, I was lucky, so I did some good investing early on in
Yeah.
stocks and stuff like that. So I think my financial environment is pretty good. I was like, okay, but I'm still spending along the way, and at some point that will detract from my plan. So is there some way
Right.
I can supplement? Because I had convinced myself I couldn't go back to corporate work anymore just because of all the politics, especially all this woke
Yeah.
stuff that had been going on for the past years. I'm like, I
Yeah.
people used to come to me and say, "Oh, we need you to do this." I'm like, find somebody else to do that, right? I want to build stuff. I don't want to spend my
Yeah.
life doing regulatory updates for one line of stuff because of Bernie Frank said do this, you know. So uh, what I was really looking to is, can I do something to earn some passive income that
Yeah.
will help me live the way I want to live and not take away from my retirement thing? Because are we going to live 1 year or for 30 years? I don't know.
Yeah.
One, I'm
Yes.
good. 30, I might
And
not be so good.
so which part of the next little DeFi program like really clicked for you?
I
Like when
guess
you, yeah, like when you were
seeing,
going through it.
yeah. Well, as I went through it, it was very clearly documented and very clearly delivered. So that was very good for me because I need it to really sink into my head that I can do it. So the way the course was laid out and they're nice short lessons, so you don't have to absorb a half an hour of data every
Yeah.
time, which is difficult. So, you're doing 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, like, all right, I can handle that. I can take notes and then I can go back and watch it again. So that was very important to me. And then, seeing the possibility of the kind of yields that were available, and then the mix of, well, do you want to take a little risk and use the ones that are volatile, or do you want to just lock in, and get lesser yields, but use stable coins and know, okay,
Yeah.
great, I'm only making 10%, but where else am I making 10%? Nowhere. And there's
Right.
no risk,
Yeah.
so uh,
And
even if I can only make 10%, I was like, okay, that's great from where I'm at right now.
yeah, well, 10% is guaranteed. Then you bump up a little risk in the blue chips. That's like 40, 50, 60% a year, you know, on the tokens you would hold anyway, like Bitcoin and Ethereum and Polkadot. So,
Yeah.
those things are going to go up. So let's talk about your results. I mean, numbers, if you're comfortable sharing, of course, and how this changed your overall relationship with crypto after you learned all this DeFi skills. Like, what's different now?
Well, I'm certainly much more comfortable with it now because, again, because of the course and the way it really explained every bit of detail. You know, there's a lot of steps along the way, as you well know, of moving it from this, moving it to a
Yeah,
different uh, networks, and which ones are the safe ones. So you've gone, you guys went through all that and flushed it all out because I wouldn't know how to pick what network to try. And, I understand I can figure out this is high fees versus low fees, but,
right.
the safety, the security, all the background stuff that you guys dig through to make your selections, to me, that was, where the value was in taking the course and the knowledge. But somebody had done the due diligence on it where I don't know how to do that. So that was
Yeah.
very important to me.
Okay, well, yeah, and we try to support you to make it comfortable. So we kind of curate things and tack on support on top of that, to kind of guide you, give you the VIP onboarding experience,
Yep.
because a lot of
Yep.
DeFi stuff is just like, here's a course and that's it, figure it out
Yeah.
on your own. But that's not enough anymore. Like the personalized VIP support, I think is even more important than the course.
There's
Although
no
the course
question.
has to be up to snuff and super updated, which is what I'm working on,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, especially when you're a complete beginner and you don't know what you're doing, it's like
Right.
I'm sure everybody's smart enough to figure out, but some people just get scared. And they're like, oh, I can't even, they don't even try because they're just scared to figure it out. Even though I'm sure everybody can figure it out. like,
Yeah. If you
the,
dedicate the time and stay with it,
yeah,
I imagine you can, but I was like, well, I don't have that much time to spend.
yeah,
And, from my previous career in technology, as you're trying to do things you never did before, I find out I would make a lot of mistakes. Of course, at the time I was getting paid to make mistakes and fix them. So it wasn't my cash. And,
yeah,
I was like, this is a whole different game.
yeah. So now that you got all this, liquidity mining DeFi skills, what are you excited doing for the next couple of years with these skills?
Well, I've got right now, I think I've got three different liquidity pools set up, and I'm I'm still controlling myself on funding because I want to really learn, make sure I'm going through it and keep doing
Right.
the maintenance on it that you have to, because I've tried to narrow the range to bump my yield
Mm,
up a little more, but that knocks you out every once in a while sooner, especially lately with the volatility, once you're
yeah,
outside the stable coins. So but I want to keep doing that. I'm probably going to expand the values of my liquidity pools because I'm seeing pretty consistent rates, for the numbers you said. Um, on, you know, uh, I've got probably one pool that's USDC and Glimmer. I'm typically earning between 150% and up to 900%, depending on which day it is or which
yeah,
range I'm in, which is crazy, crazy numbers.
yeah,
Um, I can't really tell you in dollars because I'm still working through that part. That's another challenge
yeah,
with this as you pull in and pull out, keeping track of it all. So,
yeah,
because last thing I want to do is get in trouble with tax people down the road. Um,
yeah,
and I'm hoping it'll be a gain stuff that I'm having to work about. So I
yeah,
don't, I've got enough losses carried over that I'm comfortable with that, but I'd rather keep out of that column.
yeah,
But then I've got another one with Ethereum and Glimmer, and that one earns, probably in the 30, 40%, still 30,
Right.
I never earned 30 or
Yeah.
40% in anything ever, anywhere.
Yeah.
And then the stable coins are even in the 10% range, both stable coins together. So there's no risk at all
Yeah.
to your capital that you put in, and you're just earning that 10%, which, in my money market account, I'm earning, 0.05% or 0.01% in my regular checking account. So it's like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
doing hundreds of times better than that, and I got no risk.
Yeah.
So
So it's like
I
a bank
expect
account
that.
replacement basically for you, like the stable pools, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
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 that's kind of how I use them. Like instead of keeping the money at the bank, just dump them in the stable pools and get even 10% is great because
right.
there I get nothing, zero,
Yeah,
unless it's like a savings account. Then you got to lock the money up because you can't take it out or where, like they say, we'll give you 3%, but you got to lock your money in for 2 years.
yeah.
Versus like here, you can take it out
Tomorrow.
24/7, 360, like in 10 seconds you can take it out,
Yeah,
and put it back in another 20 seconds, which is
yeah.
full
I'm,
control.
I would say the only good thing about my having worked in the central exchanges in crypto is moving in and out and getting to there and having to get there back to my bank and taking
Right.
my rewards out or something like that. I'm very comfortable moving around those environments. So
Okay.
that was easy. And then I just had to really focus on, the networks and the different options to choose from, and the
Right.
different, what rates I want to try to shoot for. So um, I
Okay.
expect to be doing this from now on. Uh, and like I said, even if I'm just worrying about my money market fund stuff, this is a whole lot better. And then I'm sure I will take some chances and continue to add to those ones that have some more upside. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go for, all kinds of coins all over the place, but with the blue chips and all that, that certainly
Yeah.
give you plenty of upside. And most of them seem
Yeah.
to be going in that direction right now.
And now you saw the news I posted in the channel where now there's a promotion going on where Polkadot is giving all these dot incentives for brand new dot Polkadot, dot Bitcoin, and dot Ethereum pools. So I'm
Uh-huh.
sure you're gonna be checking that out because I mean that's super solid. Ethereum and dot, Bitcoin and dot, that's like
Yeah.
all blue chip, and there's gonna be like a million Polkadots basically grant getting into those rewards. So yeah, that's literally launched today, which is great. I posted about it in the channel. See, so there's
Okay.
more free money for us. Great, bring it
Um,
on.
yeah.
So if you could go back, just when you were starting out and give yourself advice on DeFi, what would you say?
I would say find something like this course, because if you do it on your own, you'll probably do what I did, which is get in one of these centralized things where they're going to say, this is DeFi, even though it, I guess, be from their point it is, but from my point it
Right,
isn't because I don't have control. But, you know, I was getting good earnings there. And while that seemed great, all of a sudden, behind the scene, somebody pulls the rug out and it's gone or it's locked and you might never get those back again. So
right.
I'm done with the centralized version of it now that I have been exposed to the true decentralized version of it. And I'm not, I probably have some funds in those centralized exchanges because that's where I put the ones where, in case I might jump in and out quickly, I need them
Yeah,
there instead of putting in my wallet and then coming back and jumping through a couple of legs to get all the way back to the bank. But uh, so I think it's especially for people that are new in crypto, you definitely need to find, a course that's detailed, that's got support like that you guys provide, and that kind of,
yeah,
you know, backup, because you're going to get stuck somewhere. Even if you're good, even if you understand it, it's new, it's changing all the time. So I would say this is the way to go, because then you've got a community of people. So everybody, there's somebody out there that's had the same problem. So
yeah, for sure.
most likely. So you put those questions out there and 3 or 4 people will come back with a response.
That's cool. So what did you enjoy the most about your next level DeFi experience?
My earnings, I guess,
Earnings,
is what I'm
nice.
enjoying the most. Um,
Yeah, it's my
so
favorite part too. The
yeah,
profits. That's great.
but I feel good about it. I talked to some people, I have some friends that say, "Oh, I can't believe you do that crypto stuff. It goes up and down." I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's true, but there's ways to make money on it besides that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't understand how you could do that." And I'm like, I can't explain how all those high yields come, but you know, I understand it because I understood the market maker concepts from the guys on the New
Yeah.
York Stock Exchange, which one of the reasons I worked on one of my programs was I was hoping to destroy the specialist system. I didn't
Yeah.
realize they were still, if you went under them, you still hit them when you got to DOT, which was the designated order turnaround system at the exchanges. They were still there
Yeah.
saying, nope, I control this. So now that all of a sudden I'm a market maker, basically.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you are decentralized market
And,
maker.
I was in the brokerage business in Black Monday when they walked away and pretty much, destroyed their own charter, which is we're always the market, right? We'll be there if you're a
Yeah.
buyer and we'll be there if you're a seller. They were like, we ain't buying that crap. And they let everybody just hang out to dry. So
Yeah.
that's why I like, to me, that's my favorite thing is really you're involved in that. And that's also growing you know, the whole concept of crypto too. Yeah, that more of us
Yeah.
are getting into this and providing liquidity and providing other business opportunities that are outside standard concepts that we knew about financially before. It's pretty exciting to me.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So for someone who's just looking to get into DeFi liquidity mining, what's one mistake you would tell them to avoid at all costs?
I I, I would say I was thinking the first one is don't do it on your own, but the second one is if you're going to do it, don't do it with the centralized exchanges. I mean, Coinbase is probably the safest because they're so big and they're also a listed exchange, so they're under regulations. But
Yeah.
all the other ones, they're not under those regulations. And while I'm sure they're not attempting, they're taking risks for their business, and then all of a sudden it becomes your risk.
Yeah.
So uh, that would be my biggest point. And then my other point would be get something like this course to guide you, because you not only get the guidance, but you get the support behind it.
Yeah, very nice. So one last question. For somebody who's still on the fence, who's like, checked out all my stuff, the free training workshop, all the things that we offer in Next Level DeFi, and they're still like, I don't know, like what would be your, advice to them to kind of get them off the fence and join the program and start making same profits as you?
And I would ask them if they could tell me any place where they only earn 10% in their current investments on a fixed basis, with no loss of principal. And if they could answer yes, I would ask them if they would share that with me and how much do I have to pay for that information.
Yeah,
Because
let me
there's
know
no,
too.
there's no financial advisor I've ever talked to that can tell me I can guarantee you this and at this percentage. So um, I guess that's the
Yeah.
strongest thing to me is I don't see where you think you can make this kind of funds. And if you're just going to buy, meme coins and all that and hope to become the next Dogecoin, good luck. But a lot of
Yeah.
those people also ended up with zero.
Yeah, most of them basically. Maybe like
Yeah,
5% make all the money and then the rest kind of take a loss. It's a zero
yeah,
sum game versus, this thing where you're actually, you know, providing liquidity and there are fees and that's where the money's coming from,
yeah,
which is what most people are like, "Oh, FTX, magic money, anchor, 20% a year guaranteed." Well, but where's that 20% coming from though?
yeah.
It is just funny money and, all the
Right.
shenanigans in the background, which now, SBF is paying the price for those shenanigans. Somebody had to pay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
all right, Russell, this was very good. Hopefully some people who watch this, can see your experience and might wanted to, check it out for themselves and try
yeah.
it, right? Because I
Well,
mean, why not?
why not?
Like,
Yeah, yeah. Like
yeah,
I
just
said,
give
you
it a
don't have to
shot.
try. You don't have to start with a lot. You can start, with
Yeah,
$100 in each one, see what it does for you, see that you're actually making those percentages, and then you decide if you want to crank it up. It's, just you transfer it over and it's
Yeah.
in like immediately, you know,
Yeah.
so
It's instant results, right? It's not like you
instant
have to wait
results.
for an year or something like that. It's
Yeah.
you see it trickling right away, right?
Starts
And you can
trickling
kind
right
of
away and
do
you
the
look at it
math.
the next day and it's like, great, it's keeps going up, it keeps going up.
Yeah.
And, and I had a good background on financial instruments and stuff like that and how things happen. But the, not, like I said, I never saw anything like this that could, it's pretty much guaranteed. Not which rate, but certainly even, okay, the lowest rate, 10%. I still don't know anybody that can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
And I was
At the
in
very
the
minimum.
financial business for 30 years. So to me, this is an easy answer.
Yeah.
And especially once it's set up, you really could leave it alone.
Yeah. Like it doesn't take you like too much time, right, to manage this thing. It's not like trading where you like have to be glued to the
Yeah.
screen like I used to be back in the day, the Bitcoin trading days.
Yeah. Most of the time when I look at it, I'm trying to keep track of things. So I just mark down what today's numbers are. And then every once in a while, you know, typically it's been only once in a while where, oh, I came out of range because it doesn't move that fast. Lately with the way crypto, fell off after the whole tariff thing, and then it came back real strong. So now it's been jumping
Yeah.
in and out a little bit more regularly. So that takes a little bit of time, but even that doesn't take long. You say exit, confirm over here. You
Yeah.
say deposit. You pick the range. You move it up. So I've started moving maybe a little bit more on the upside and
Right.
saying, okay, I'll put a tight downside and a little bigger upside so I don't fall out as quick. So
Yeah. So you basically catch it as it goes up and down between the ranges. So
yeah,
you're always like
yeah.
earning
So I'm
somewhere. Yeah,
starting
I
to
do
tweak
that
it a
too.
little based on my own feel, but
Yeah.
the tool's there to do it, and that tool I don't know exists anywhere else that I've seen. So I couldn't have
Um,
done that on myself. I'd been taking it in and out every hour.
man. So I appreciate your support and you taking your time to do this interview so that other people can learn about this opportunity and take advantage of it. And I'll see you in the community. Have a great
Yep, yep, sure
day.
will. And thanks a lot. And like I said, final word to everybody. This is the future. Blockchain and all this is the future. So why not get in a little bit, take a chance. It's not that expensive for the course, and you don't have to put lots in to start. But when you start seeing it clicking away, um, it will make you a happier person, and then you
Yeah.
can figure out how to expand it. So I appreciate, your help and also all the support you guys have given me because I got in trouble already on my own. So now I feel very comfortable that I can stay out of trouble.
Well, you're very welcome, and we're happy to, provide all this support and services for you and all the other future students that will be coming into this program. So have a great day, and I'll talk to you in the community. Take
Thanks a
care.
lot. Appreciate it.